GP24. What we do know after Jack's great spot as Rins goes in hot into turn 10 as Aldeguer's out on his spare machine.
He nearly ran into his teammate there, Rins into turn 10.
Now the mark through 11. This is just him trying to build up some temperature in those Michelin tyres. Second in Q1 with a 129.670. So Mark's still able to find not able to find a 129 so far in Q2.
Ralph Fernandez has just set the fastest first sector on run 2, so we've got one Aprilia on pole position at the moment. It's another Aprilia launching the biggest threat to Bezzecchi.
He's just set a fastest second sector as well as the Spanish rider. This could be an Aprilia 1-2 here if this carries on. Bezzecchi versus Fernandez. Over the line will go Marc Marquez. Just over 4 minutes of this session remaining. Staring down the barrel of what would be his worst qualifying of the season by some stretch. Bezzecchi, well, just look at this. Once again, he has creamed the field in that sector too. That's where he is so good. Marine looking to keep himself on the front row for the first time on the factory Honda. What about Raul Fernandez? This will be close. Surely this is going to push Raul onto the front row of the grid. Will be just his third ever front row in MotoGP. Over the line he goes, it is. Third quickest then goes Fernandez with a 129.543. This, though, could be history beckoning for Bezzecchi. Are we going to witness the first ever 128 lap of the Mandalika circuit? He's up by over 4/10 of a second. A 129.088 is Jorge Martin's all-time lap record. That's going to be obliterated. It's demolished. It's destroyed by Bezzecchi. It is the first ever 128 MotoGP lap of this Mandalika circuit. 128.832. Bezzecchi on pole. Acosta second, but nearly 7/10 of a second back. Aldeguer looking to get himself back onto the front row. This would be some job by Aldeguer on the spare Gresini Ducati. Over the line he goes into second with a 129.230. A showstopper though by Bez.
No one's beating that. Alex Marquez certainly isn't beating that. Has he gone down at the same corner he crashed at yesterday into turn 13? Alex Marquez, wherever he's gone down, is not going to be improving at the moment on 6th place as we find Rins going onto the front row of the grid on a 29.3. Alex Rins, when's the last time he was on the front row?
Alex Rins' last front row was Austin 2023, which was a special weekend, wasn't it, for Alex? Because he won that weekend. Marc Marquez, in all of this drama, has dropped now down to last place in this Q2 session. Just looking at Marc's split times. Yeah, he backed out of his last lap, did Marc. 12th place on the grid. Front washes out for Alex. So the best he's going to be hoping for is 7th place. Marini 5th after his front row charge early on. What about Acosta? Can he pinch back at a front row start here? Acosta now going through turn 12, through the left-hander of 13. What a job this by Alex Rins. A 129.336. 2.5 years since we saw Rins on the front row of the grid. Oh, Acosta's made a mistake. Acosta has made a mistake. It wasn't going to be at that stage of the lap, though, a front row lap for Acosta. What about Marc?
Well, he's struggling, isn't he?
Yeah, he's struggling. He lost the front once again, going through 13.
And he's miles off. He's only going to get on to the third row at best here is Marc Marquez. He's going to have one more lap after this. But this is Marc Marquez no way near the level we've seen in 2025 so far. Many reasons for that. Not all down to Marc Marquez himself. He's going to be somewhere near Gian Antonio and Oliveira in 29.8, 9th and 10th. Here comes the 90 over the line. He doesn't even improve on 12th.
I don't think anybody really saw this coming. We know that Marc Marquez has had his woes. He has had his struggles in recent history here in Mandalika, not even finished the Sunday Grand Prix. But I don't think anybody could have foreseen what's happened to the world champion. 6 days now after winning his 7th MotoGP title, he's at the wrong end of this Q2 session. Although having just said that, as Raul Fernandez does indeed move himself back onto the front row, Marc has had a real strong first sector. His personal best first sector is on the money. Can he salvage something here late on, Marc Marquez? He's now the only rider so far in this session that's not found a 129. Second sector, Marc Marquez has lost over half a second, 6/10 compared to Bezzecchi's best pace. Marini over the line. Is it looking like it's going to be probably second row for Marini? He has got over the line for one more lap if he can find it.
We know that Marc Marquez can find a 129. He did one in Q1. He's now 8/10 down, 3/4 of the way through the lap. So Marc Marquez potentially can get himself onto the third row of the grid. The Yamahas are trying to launch a late challenge here. Quartararo's not going to be on the front row. Their best bet is Alex Rins.
Marc Marquez just cannot wait.
Oh, down goes Rins.
Rins, exactly the same corner which caught out his teammate Fabio Quartararo. So Alex Rins fighting to get himself back on the front row. Fourth at the moment for Rins. Aldeguer's taking the checker flag. He's second. Acosta over the line. He's fifth.
Marc Marquez through in 9th place and would probably have been ahead of the Yamahas when they crashed, so that 9th place will be allowed to stand. The one rider remaining who's setting personal best, who we might need to keep an eye on, is Joan Mir, who's setting a personal best. It won't be a front row as it was in Motegi last weekend. Their best bet looks like being Luca Marini, who's currently sitting 6th. He's up behind Marco Bezzecchi, who is waltzing to pole position here in Mandalika. But will his fellow VR46 Academy friend join it?
Marc Marquez's lowest grid position in a year since he was 9th on the grid in Japan 2024. Marini, and there's not going to be a front row for Marini. Yes, the yellows. Oh, he's frustrated there, isn't he? Luca Marini.
I guess he'll be frustrated there because there's no point Alex Rins rejoining the session. Checkered flag is out, session is over. And I think Luca Marini's seen those yellow flags and said, well, I was on a lap, your session is over, and now everybody's session is over. And Aprilia can celebrate a pole position that looked on the cards. It looked a formality before Q2 even began.
Well, we said pre-session that other riders had labelled Marco Bezzecchi uncatchable, untouchable and almost unbeatable. Well, he has delivered. Oh, how on earth do you stop Marco Bezzecchi on the factory Aprilia here in Mandalika?
You don't.
A 1:28.832, a historic lap time, the first and only 1:28 we've ever seen here at the Mandalika International Circuit. That was not even close.